Well, I never went to a Jewish day school. I never did Maccabi. I didn't do any of that. I have a lot of big group of family friends that are Jewish, and they all did all that stuff. I just didn't.
We would do the high holidays, we'd have dinner, we'd go to shul, but there was no real connection. It was just going through the motions every year at certain times.
I don't really have any Jewish friends. My father, he was my Jewish influence, but he now lives overseas. And yeah, I just haven't had that connection with a Jewish community.
And I'd be the first person to vocalise the fact that I am Jewish, but it didn't really go to any more depth than that.
It wasn't a part of my life being Jewish. It wasn't something that I felt I needed to say or have any part of. To be honest, I didn't want to come. I wasn't excited. I was actually not looking forward to coming. It was a big push from my parents.
Ultimately, I didn't really have any grand expectations or anything like that. I was just like, you know what, it's a 10-day program. What can it do for you,
Got off the plane and it felt like I was getting off the plane in Australia. I didn't feel uncomfortable, I didn't feel unsafe. That was the weirdest thing when I first got off the plane. That started my whole opening to Israel.
We'll be driving on the bus and I look out the window and I just can't stop looking at it because it's incredible. It's absolutely awe-inspiring. You just sit there in silence and just soak it all in, like you don't see this anywhere else.
We went hiking up Mount Masada, we went out to the desert, whitewater rafting, and we did just a lot of different activities. It was a very packed schedule and it was non-stop for the entire period that we've been on the program.
We've seen a lot of beautiful places, but the people, the culture, we walk in the street and in our group and so often just strangers come up and they want to speak to us and it's a consensus of how beautiful this place is. Having the Israelis in the group, that's been fantastic because you get to sit down and actually talk to them.
They just got into it and they felt like our best friends. On the second day I already knew all of them and it was just amazing to connect with people so fast. And I think that's like an Israeli attitude, to be very relaxed and very chilled out and very social. They're just amazing, amazing people.
The first time I went on the bus, I felt very special because I came on with the uniform. Immediately, come sit next to me, talk to me, what's your name? From the first minute, we just started talking about everything, like I talk with my friends back home.
What life is like for them, what they do on a day-to-day basis, what the differences are between us coming from Australia and what they do over here. The fact is you've got people reporting into you at such a young age, you've got responsibilities that are really, really important. I think it's something that is really, really powerful and something that I really respect.
Something that will stick with me for the rest of my life is when we went to Mount Herzl and going to the military cemetery.
Me saying Hatuka, and I noticed that the soldiers were singing Hatuka, and these are people who are risking their lives every day for Israel, just so people like me and the other people in Taglit can come here safely. It just made me feel very, very proud to just be on the soil.
Going through the Children's Memorial Yad Vashem was a very, very powerful experience. Seeing the candle reflected and to know that these children didn't get to grow up and didn't have to have a proper life like the rest of us have. And it just really makes you appreciate what you have and the life that you live today.
They have letters there and it was someone writing to, I assumed it was his wife, saying, it was sort of like a love letter. And for me, as soon as I read that, I broke down, that amongst so much atrocity and so much pain and horror and the inhumane state that everyone was forced to live in, they still had time for love.
Seeing the horrors that happen and then coming out and here in Israel, and this is where people came to for safety, and it's just a very special thing.
There are all these sites here you've learnt about, but they exist and they're here. It's not a myth. It's a real place, and you can actually touch, the kotel, and just being there, something just, it touched you and it moved you.
We have paintings of the kotel all around our school, and they always teach us about it, and we learn so much about it. I never thought that I'd actually see it.
And all of a sudden we heard some Americans singing. And we walked in, we opened up the circle, we just joined in, and we literally just found common songs from the other side of the world. And we all just spent about half an hour just singing and dancing. It doesn't matter what your background is or what you do for a job or how much money you make. At that point in time, it was just, we're here together and we're happy and we're at peace. That was the most amazing experience of my life.
Something that's definitely surprised me is how close you can actually bond between 40 people that most of them I've never met before, because we've experienced so much together, and both like the social side of things, the serious side of things, and the strange side of things. There's just been a bunch of different things that we've all experienced together, and as a result of that, I'm sure I've made lifelong friends from this as well that I'm sure I'll take back to for many, many years.
I honestly feel like I've just walked away with 39 new friends and, 7 Israelis. It's mishpucha.
Yesterday, a girl realised that I no longer celebrate with Jewish religion and things, that she came up to me and asked me, do I live in Sydney? Because she said, I want to invite you to Shabbos with my family. So already the friendships and things that I've made, I'll be able to take them back home and feel like I'm a part of the Jewish community.
My Jewish identity now is more than a religion. It's a culture, it's a way of life, it's a family. I have my home in Sydney, but I also have my home within the Jewish community, which is, worldwide.
I never had a traditional Jewish upbringing, not the Orthodox side, but not even close. So I think that's something that I'm going to take back to Sydney is, I want to have, a bit more stronger connection to Judaism and, essentially give my children a Birthright program at home.
There's a lot that I've learned here that will definitely change my life back home. Where do you even begin? I'm proud to be Jewish now. As bad as it sounds like, I wasn't really proud. It sort of didn't mean anything to me. I didn't have the appreciation. The one thing I really realized last night was that I want my kids to have a relationship with Israel a lot younger than what I did.
I'd like to thank the people that made this trip possible for me.
To be able to come on Birthright.
For opening the door into such new possibilities and new ideas that I will go home and continue learning from.
The experience of the Israeli culture.
To really develop and mature my Jewish identity.
It's really strengthened my connection to this incredible, incredible land.
I've never thought about being a Jew before and what that means in my life, and now I'm finally starting to think about it and how I can be a better person and a better Jew.
I would never have done this if it wasn't for you. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much